Hi, everyone. I almost said hi really loud, and then I remembered that we both are wearing these, and I didn't want to be rude.
Thank you. Boop, boop, boop.
Boop, 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 boop. Oh. Our picture's really good this time.
I agree.
This time round.
The best it's been, I'd say.
I liked the one where we both had a book completely over our face.
That was also good.
I also like the one where we both had a piece of candy in our mouth.
Sounds like us.
What the? One person's here? It's us. Hi, us. Hi, me, watching off.
Who knows how to do a podcast?
Not me. Look at my hair.
I brought our whiteboard over here, but it's still
good.
Not helpful.
Well, we don't need it for this one.
One step closer.
Who knows what's happening in this podcast anyway?
No one listens. But they do, actually.
How many?
I don't know.
The 25 people a week who listen to this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Welcome.
I actually don't have the passwords for this one. Oh, I was watching V.
So was I.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She looks all cute. She got all dressed up. Let me see. Hold on. My podcast. I do want to see how many people watch it. That's this one, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I have to give it my face.
Give it your face and give it your all.
What? How? Who's
Nearly
listening to this
listeners.
show?
Ooh,
Who is listening to this show?
What's our most popular epi?
This is funny. Oh my gosh, what is happening? So Bring It On has 291 and Mean Girls has 270.
It's nice.
Those are our people.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. I didn't know.
Wow, we passed 1,000 listeners already.
Congratulations.
Guess what, you guys? Oh, hi, Rosie.
Chicken butt. Oh, Rosie.
Hi,
Paula. Oh, you guys. Hi.
Guess what, though?
Chicken,
We're live in
chicken
front
butt.
of a studio audience today.
We actually do have a live audience member here in our recording studio.
It's not the cats. They're also here, but they're asleep.
Well, Meowfoy's definitely awake, but she's faking.
She's got pretending. Her eye on a jingle ball on the floor.
Okay, also, one more thing that I want. It's very important. I want you guys to see this thing.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to take off my headphones so I can show you. But watch. One of our friends of the podcast has handed me a large pile of shirts yesterday. Look, watch this one. It's backwards. I love my British boyfriend, Robert Pattinson. Look at this shirt.
That's very cute.
I'm never taking it off.
Oh.
Should I tell everybody who gave it to me?
Yeah.
Who gave it to us? It was Mare.
It was just Mare.
Mare handed me a whole stack of her Edward Cullen shirts. And it was more than I could have ever imagined because they're going to be worn on the podcast. They're laughing. They love it. The perfect shirt for Marin. It truly is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't make it myself because I'm not creative. Okay. Are we ready?
Oh, this was a TV show too?
I was thinking about that. Okay, I'm going to let you go and then I'll talk about how I was thinking about how it should be a TV show.
Huh. I fear there's a Malfoy hair actually inside of my nostril.
Literally
I keep trying to give a grab,
pick it out.
But it simply is
It
just
feels so good when you grab a cat hair and you just pull it and it comes out of your nostril.
I don't want to give him that for therapy.
Mare, who is not a listener, is like, what is going on here?
This is normal. This is a bit we have.
Pulling
the Malfoy on nose.
It actually
hair.
is. I've been taking Malfoy hairs off of Emily's nose for 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
But
I won't ask you to go in there.
I will if you want me to. Here's what I say to Ari: put your chin up towards the ceiling.
I can't let you see in there. It's too much for me. I'll never recover.
Go get it out because it's gonna bother you the whole time.
Excuse
I'll
me,
entertain
friends.
these guys while you're gone. Oh, Paula watched the show before she watched the movie. I didn't know there was a show, and I can't imagine. Okay, here, never mind. I'll stop. I gotta wait. I gotta wait until we're actually recording before I can talk about it. Did you get it?
I don't know.
She's using her
No,
phone
this is
as a
outside.
mirror. I can see your phone though. It's not me you're embarrassed of. It's these guys. It's not me. It's not Mare. It's these guys.
It's them.
There are people.
Feels better.
Although we don't know. We don't know who's going to get on here and watch this.
Friends watch friends pick their nose.
You guys have got to get used to it. I pick my nose and I fart. I do. I do.
Introverted panic. As per usual. Okay.
I'm ready. You ready?
I'm ready.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, everyone.
My name is Marin.
My name is Emily.
And we are
Remember
This.
The podcast where we cover a miscellaneous item, so far just movies, as per voted on by our patrons.
Oh, I love those guys. I did learn today that people actually listen to this podcast.
Yeah, surprisingly.
Literally much to my surprise. I was like, nobody listens. And then I looked it up and it was a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. We both tried to talk at the same time. That actually doesn't happen very often, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Should we try it again? You go. You go.
On this month's episode, we're covering the movie 10 Things I Hate About You.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Me too.
Word for word.
Which I'll tell you guys some things about it from Wikipedia. It is a 1999 American romantic comedy film.
Okay.
What has Julia Stiles, Heath Ledger, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, other people. And it is a modern telling of William Shakespeare's The Taming of the Shrew, told in an American high school setting.
I literally cannot, if I read that without ever seeing this movie, I would buy the movie. Because
Yes.
I love Shakespeare. I love high school romantic comedies. I love Heath Ledger. I love Julia Stiles. It has literally everything I would want. Everything.
It's good. Even tell them of your tour of this movie.
My personal real life tour.
Yeah.
So Mark and I, we dated for 3 years before we got married, which in Mormon land is like, we may as well have been old, like celibate nun and priest by the time it was 3 years and we were getting married. So during that 3 years, there was a period of time where Mark lived in Tacoma, which is like near Seattle, Washington. And we had broken up and he moved to Washington and I was like, goodbye forever. And then he started calling me and he started writing me letters and he wrote me a song and it was all very romantic and very sweet. And I was still like on the fence and I was like, I don't know if I want to get back together with him. He was mean to me. And then the song really got me anyway. He wrote me a song, whatever. I went to Washington to spend a month with him to see if it would work out, if we could get back together. And while we were there, he made me watch this movie because it's filmed in Washington. And the school that it is filmed at looks like a castle.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day he was like, here we go. We're going to Seattle to see the castle school. And I did do a 10 Things I Hate About You tour. And I did watch the movie. And at the time, I was thoroughly unimpressed. It was very meh. And then when we watched it yesterday, it was the opposite of meh. I loved it. I was very excited.
Yeah, my history of this movie is it's my best friend's movie. Favorite.
You want to try it again?
Well,
Nah,
no, that's good. So she watched it a lot while we were in high school and I was in the room. I don't really remember actually fully watching it all the time. I just remember it was always on.
I do the movie poll choices for our patrons, and I just put it on there because I was like, I bet our patrons will like it.
Mhm.
Like it was on Emily's Letterboxd list, and I was like, I don't know, our people seem that they like these type of movies, so I just stuck it on there.
Yeah.
I like it.
And what would you know?
It was true.
Mhm.
I was right.
You were right.
All right. Is there anything else before we start?
No, let's get into the shaky font.
Let's do it. So the movie starts and it's playing. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. Na, 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 na. I think the song is by the Bare Naked Ladies, if I'm not wrong, which I'm not. And we open up and we are in Seattle, and it's beautiful, and it's one of those rare sunny Seattle days. It's just gorgeous. We're on the Sound. We can see the water. Oh, you guys got to go to Seattle. It's just, you have to. It's beautiful. And there's a car of like preppy kids driving down the street, and they're the ones who are listening to this song in their car, and they pull up to a red light, and pulling up next to them is a not preppy girl played by Julia Stiles, and she's in an old, really cool, like vintage clunker car, and she's not listening to that song. I don't know what song it was that she was listening to, but it is like rock and roll, and it's do-do-do, and she's got this hair, you guys. I just, for a second, because you know me, I got to talk about her hair for a minute. It is the most 1999 hair. She pulls up and you're like, wow, this movie was filmed in 1999, because her hair is slicked back into a high pony. I'm guaranteeing there's a claw holding that ponytail up against her hair, and then she has taken her curls and she grabbed some scrunch spray. It was in the purple bottle. It said Aussie on it, and it smells so good. And you spray it all over those curls, and then you go scrunch, 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 and then you leave it. You don't touch it.
Do anything else.
You don't touch it for the rest of the day. So you just have this slicked back ponytail and scrunchy curls. Very good. Big fan. Next thing we see, we cut over to Miss Perky's office. Miss Perky is our high school guidance counselor. So we are at the school. This school, you guys, just to get it out of the way, it looks like Hogwarts. It is a literal castle.
Courtyard and all.
Why did they build a castle and then make it be a high school?
Quidditch pitch and all.
Lucky.
On a lake.
It's so gorgeous.
Whomping Willow.
It's Hogwarts. Okay, but listen to me, you guys. This school, you get immediately introduced to the fact that nobody at this school is underprivileged. They're all rich kids. This is a rich kid school in a rich kid town in Seattle. Okay, so just keep that in your brain. Miss Perky, this lady, she's Umbridge. It's weird. We're at Hogwarts, and here we have Umbridge. She's like wearing a really nice pink dress suit. Her name is Miss Perky, and I am not lying when I tell you guys that she's sitting there on her laptop writing a porno. She's writing a porno. She is. That's all she's doing. She can't be bothered. There's a new kid in school. He's played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and his name is Cameron. He's very cute, and it's his first day, and he comes and he sits down, and he's like, hi, I'm new here. And she's like, I don't care. I'm writing my porn. And he's like, okay, well, I guess I have my schedule, and I'll go to my class. And he leaves, and then Heath Ledger walks in, and he's very, very old. He's like at least 25,
approximately,
as far as I can tell. Very beautiful, very Australian. In this movie, he has dark brown, curly, frizzy hair. It's fine. It's beautiful no matter what. He also, for some reason, wants to talk to the guidance counselor. Here, I'll tell you guys this straight up. I was very overwhelmed by the beginning of this movie. They don't waste a time on exposition. Mm-hmm. They are like, you are into this movie and you have to keep up. Go. It caught me by surprise. I didn't know what to do. We met Cameron. We met Heath Ledger. We met Kat, who's Julia Stiles, and we saw Bianca. Bianca was in the preppy car. So those are our four main characters.
Yep. Okay. So immediately, without any introductions, we see Cameron get swooped up by the nerdy-esque kid named Michael. And Michael gets right to telling him who everybody is at the school. So we get that here are the beautiful people. Don't talk to them because they don't like you. And Carmen's like, well, do you not like them or do they not like you? So Michael's like, I'll show you. And he's like, hi guys. And they're like, you're stupid. And he's like, so we don't talk to them.
So this movie is what Mean Girls was written after.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then we go and we meet the coffee kids, as he calls them,
That's
which are
me.
all they're just like holding their like to-go cups and like spilling them on each other. And then we also meet the white Rasta kids, and he's like, they're obsessed with Bob Marley. They think that they're black. And new kid Cameron's like, do you just mean they smoke a lot of weed? And he's like, yeah, basically.
Okay.
They're a reoccurring thing in the movie.
We don't like them.
We don't.
But they're so Seattle. They are so Washington State. It's gross.
Yeah, and just then Bianca walks by in slow motion. The music changes. Cameron is heart eye emojis at her for sure.
Dreamweaver. Mm-hmm.
But Michael's like, no, she's one of the beautiful people. We can't like her, okay? And he tells her to forget about it. Also, her dad doesn't let her date, so don't waste your time.
Yeah, it's really true. Her dad does not let her date. So anyway, we're out of there. It's not the beginning of school anymore. We are in the classroom. This is English class. Kat is in there, and she is immediately introduced as being very smart, very strong-willed. She's obviously not like other girls, right? She's like, she hates the patriarchy. She screams at boys. She has a fight with the popular boy Joey. It's kind of cool. Patrick is also in this class, but he came in real late and he's like, what did I miss? And Kat's immediately like, the rise and fall of the patriarchy. Okay, so this is how we know who these characters are immediately. There's an argument with Joey. Kat immediately, because the teacher, for some reason, I never understood it through the entire show, he hates her and he sends her to the office every single class period. So they have a fight because she doesn't agree with what he's saying, and he sends her to the guidance counselor. So then we are brought to the outside. Am I right? Yes. Okay. We are brought. I think so, because I didn't write another header. Oops. Usually I write a header.
Okay.
And then I didn't write another header. I just kept going. Because
the next thing I have for you is Courtyard.
Oh, okay. So that must be it. Yep.
Okay.
Sorry, we have to edit all that out now.
That's okay. So we're back in the guidance counselor's office, and Miss Perky is still continuing her scene. And she's like, what's another word for big dick or something like that? And she's like calling out to
her secretary.
The secretary, do you know a word? And the secretary's like, I don't know. I'll look into it. And then she sends Kat in. And like these two have an understanding that Kat just gets sent to her office anytime she speaks, basically. And it's like a running thing that anytime anyone references Kat, they're always like, oh yeah, she's a bitch. She's feisty. She's mean. She's whatever.
It's really telling. They want you to know that this is the girl who will actually, I mean, really, like all that's happening is she's just like voicing her literal opinion about anything.
Yeah, but it comes off as very aggressive to everyone else. But she's like, whatever. She's fine with it. So she goes and she sits there, and they just like have like a tiny little chat. And on her way out, she goes, have a good time with your quivering member. And Miss Perky's like, oh, quivering member, that's good. And she writes it into her story.
Why is it quivering? I just don't know if I've ever seen a quivering. I'm trying to. No, I'm not. Never mind. I'm not going to. So
I just imagine that Kat often helps her.
Yes,
with her writing, because she's in there so often. She just knows. She thinks about it all day, and then the next time she comes in, she has a new suggestion.
You know what? That's another thing. Put a pin in this. Kat's a writer. Okay, I just want everybody to think about that up until the very last scene of this movie, wherein I wonder if she's a writer. Just my personal question. All right, so we are in the courtyard. We are outside. The boys are being misogynistic. What they're doing is they are making bets about who can get the cute girl, Bianca, to go out with them. And Cameron is like, no, she's not just like, you can't just like make bets. She's awesome. She's not, he's totally standing up for her. She's not just like a beautiful person. She's really smart and she's nice. And, you know, he's like saying really nice things about her. He's definitely not into this thing that the boys are doing about her. But the other boys are like, no, you're dumb. She's just a piece of meat. And we are going to make bets on who can actually get her to go out with us. And then Cameron is like, you guys are wrong and I'm going to prove it to you. There you go.
So we're in the parking lot and Bianca's walking with her friend Chastity. And Chastity brings up a great point of if you can be overwhelmed and you can be underwhelmed, can you just be whelmed?
What do you think?
Yeah.
What does that feel like? Just meh? Is it a meh?
That's just your baseline.
I'm just whelmed. I live at whelmed. Yeah. You're right. Uh-huh. I do. Mm-hmm.
And then Joey comes over in his new car and he's like, hi, ladies, want to ride? And they get in his backseat. And then Michael drives like a motorbike, but he's not very good at it. So he's driving through the parking lot and Kat's already like in her car driving and he swerves in front of her and she yells at him. And then Michael drives over to Cameron and he's like, that is your girlfriend's sister. And Cameron's like, that is her sister? And Michael's like, yeah, you can see why... you know, we don't talk to those guys. And then Michael leaves again, swerves in front of another car, which honks at him. And then he proceeds to drive over the side of the parking lot, which the way that Hogwarts is laid out is a Quidditch pitch is downhill from the school. Yeah. And so he just drives his bike all the way down the hill, almost to the top of the bleachers, falls off. All of the kids in the parking lot run over to watch and he didn't die, so they're screaming. It's so exciting.
He landed on what looked to me like some sort of soft, spongy ferns.
Yeah, there were some like springy ferns for sure.
All right, ready? We next are like whooshed away to this really rich Seattle suburb. You guys, it's like every house you see is like I don't know. Growing up super poor, I'm looking at this neighborhood like, whoa, these people are loaded. Every house is huge. Every house is beautiful. They're right on the water. We see a great big yellow house and Kat is inside and she's kind of like cuddled up on a chair reading a book. And Dad comes in and he's got a stack of mail. And then Bianca comes in and we see that they're sisters. But we see that they're totally different and that they have like completely different relationships with their dad. So obviously Kat and Dad have like a kind of standoffish backup kind of a relationship, and Bianca and Dad are closer and they're really like honest and open with each other. So we get that out of the way. And then we learn from getting the mail that Kat has been accepted to Sarah Lawrence. And she is like so excited. And Dad is like, I don't want you to go to Sarah Lawrence. Like, that's too far away. You're not supposed to leave. You have to stay with me forever. And Kat is just like, no, I want to stay here. Like, I want to go to college. I'm so excited. And then to get the like heat off of her, she's like, oh yeah, well, guess what? Guess who Bianca got a ride home from school with today in the back of a convertible, sitting on the back the whole way. And so then Dad is like mad at Bianca. It totally works. He's like, Bianca, you can't date. You can't hang out with boys. It's terrible. It's the worst thing in the world. You'll get pregnant and die. And Kat, she's like, well, you don't ever get mad at Kat for dating. And he's like, that's because Kat doesn't date. And Kat's like, that's true. And then he's like, okay, I'll make you a deal. You can go on a date. You can go to prom. You can do all that stuff when Kat does. And that just doesn't happen. So big problem there.
Oh, no. Next thing we see, Bianca and Cameron already have a tutoring situation in effect, in which Cameron is tutoring Bianca in French. And so she shows up and she's like, we got to make this quick. So-and-so are fighting in the parking lot and I want to see it. And Cameron's like, okay, well, do you want to at least go over like punctuation or something? And she's like, I don't want the aching and the haching. No, thank you. And he's like, okay, well, do you want to go get like some French food later? I know you're not allowed to date, but maybe if we tell your dad it's like for French class, he'll be fine with it. And she's like, well, actually, we just had a change of the rules, and my dad says that I can date if my sister is also dating someone. And she tells him how Kat used to be popular, but then she decided she didn't want to be popular, and now she's not popular anymore, and everyone hates her now. But Cameron's like, well, there's got to be someone out there who's really into extreme dating and will want to date your sister. And so he gets a plan.
All right, so here's the plan in action. We are outside, and there is an alleyway going into a stairway. I'm confused about where we are, but it's somewhere in the back of the school where there's a secret. It's the room of requirement, maybe. So we are outside. There's a group of boys waiting for Cameron and Michael to show up, and they get there and they start the interviews. They're like, anybody want to date Kat? And then they interview the boys one by one, and every time they're like, no, we're not dating her. No. We will not date her unless, or even if there weren't any sheep, is what one of the guys just puts out there. He wouldn't even date her if there weren't even any sheep left to date.
Cool stuff.
Nobody likes Kat because she has an opinion.
Yeah. Then we get into the whiffing scent part of the movie, biology class. And Cameron is there with Michael, and he's like, well, do you know of anyone who would date Kat? And then we look behind him and he sees Patrick, and they're dissecting frogs this class period, but it looks like Patrick just has like his pocket knife out and he's just like kind of stabbing the frog in the background. And so Cameron's like, what about that guy? And Michael looks and he's like, oh no, you don't want that guy. He's like a felon. And then we see Patrick literally light his cigarette on the Bunsen burner.
We get the like immediate perception that he is like an ogre. He's huge, he's old, and he's scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Michael's just lists off many reasons why Patrick isn't good for anyone, including that he sold his own liver on the black market.
Which, think of how much money you would make doing that.
Who needs two?
Ugh. No, you don't have
one. Yeah. That's kidneys.
It's okay. But you can cut your liver apart and then it grows back.
Oh, yeah, like a tail. So Michael's like, no. But Cameron's like, this is our guy. He's perfect for her. So then we go to woodshop class, which Patrick is in. And Cameron walks up to him and he has his French book because, he's just stopping by. And he goes up to him and he says like maybe 2 words. And then Patrick takes his power tool and drills a hole straight through his textbook. And so Cameron's like, okay, bye, thanks. And just leaves.
Me laughing about this is because a lot of these things I didn't actually see because I was like furiously writing notes. I love that so much. All right, so we are at the cafeteria, and Michael, right, he's gone to the table of like the cool guys. The cool guys meaning the disgusting, like, toxic masculinity table of men who just want to like have sex with as many girls as they can possibly have sex with. And he's like trying to get them to date Kat, and they're like, no. And while he's like having this conversation with Joey is like drawing a penis on his face to where the like head of the penis is literally Michael's mouth. It's actually kind of really hilarious. I didn't mind it so much. And he didn't mind it either. He just
Michael just lets it happen and wears it the rest of the day.
He did. He just walked around. I just was like, I go, cool kids are not going to date Kat either. There's a penis on a cheek. They're trying to get the cool guy to get Patrick to go out with Kat. So what they've done is they've said, okay, well, if you don't want to date her, then here's what I want you to do. Go, since maybe you can like figure out how to get Patrick to date Kat. Maybe you can like pay him to date Kat. And Joey's like, okay, that sounds fine. Because Joey will do anything terrible.
Also, Joey's like, oh, and then Bianca can date. But they don't quite know that is happening. But Joey in his mind is like, aha, there's a new way to get to one of the girls who previously was unattainable.
Yes, and this is very important, that Joey wanting to date Bianca for reasons that we will learn in a little while.
Okay, now it's after school, and for some reason, every important character that we need to see is out on the field, while there is both soccer practice and band practice happening at the same time. Everybody's doing all their extracurricular activities.
That's so dangerous.
So, luckily, Patrick is also hanging around after school on the field.
He doesn't have a home.
And Joey comes over to him, and he's like, hey, Patrick, you know that girl Kat, and she's, practicing her soccer, and he's like, you should date her. And Patrick's like, no. And he's like, well, listen, I need you to, because I can't date her little sister unless she's going out with someone. So how about this? I'll pay you $20 to go on a date with Kat. And Patrick's like, no, listen, a movie costs money. Popcorn costs money. Sodas cost money. My time costs money. I'll do it for $50. And so it's kind of just agreed that is what is going to happen. So Patrick waits for Kat to finish soccer practice, and then he goes over to talk to her, and he asks her out straight up, and she's like, no, you don't even know me. This isn't going to happen. And meanwhile, Cameron and Michael are watching Patrick get turned down, and they're like, oh no, nothing is working out.
Yep. And so we are at home again, and we're getting ready for bed. So both of the girls are in the bathroom, and they're like brushing their teeth and getting ready for bed and stuff. And Bianca is like, how come you don't want to be pretty and dateable? I don't understand why you don't want to be pretty. Why don't you want boys to go out with you? And Kat is like, I hate boys. I hate everything. I hate you. And then Bianca is like, oh, I found these pearls. And it's a little ambiguous at this moment, but what happened is these are Mom's pearls. And Kat is like really mad about it. She's like, wait a minute, have you just been hanging on to those for 3 years? And Bianca's like, no, I just found them. I was going through some stuff and I found them, and I decided that I want to wear them. And I was unsure at this point whether Mom had died or Mom was just gone. So we learned that in a little while, but Kat is really mad that Bianca has these pearls. So that is what is going on in this scene.
Now we go to attempt number 2 of asking to date, in which Patrick has followed Kat to the music store.
Yes, he's stalking her.
Yes,
it's weird.
We see her coming out of the store with a bag, and she pulls out the CD she just bought, and he's leaning against her car, just standing there waiting for her. And she's like, why are you following me? And he's like, I was in the laundromat and I just saw you here. And she's like, well, stop it. And he's like, I'm surprised that you're not afraid of me. And she's like, well, I'm not. And he's like, well, I bet you have thought of me naked. He's really good at asking girls out, you guys.
Never mind. That's a dumb question. I understand why you would. Never mind.
Next thing we know, Joey pulls up behind her car. So obviously him and Patrick have arranged this bombardment and entrapment of Kat, because they're both in on it. And he just literally illegally parks behind her car, and he gets out, and she's like, do you mind? And he's like, no. And she's like, what is it, asshole day? And so she's really mad, and so she just straight up reverses into his brand new car, and Patrick's just standing there watching, laughing.
She totally ruins his car. It's really kind of satisfying. So then we're back at home, and Kat and Dad are having a fight. We learn now that Mom left. She did not die. She left, and she's been gone for 3 years, and it's just been Dad here alone with the girls. And he's trying his best, and he's doing a good job, but he's just really strict. Like, he's really strict, and he doesn't want to lose his girls, and he doesn't want to lose any connection that he has with them. Like, I just get like this really deep feeling that he loves these girls so much, and he loved their mom so much, and she left, and it was like the worst thing that ever happened to him, and he doesn't want Kat to leave. This is a recurring thing through the whole movie where he's just like, I don't want you to leave, and then it turns into a fight instead of like, this is why I don't want you to leave, because it'll break my heart. But so they're just fighting, and he's like, I don't want you to leave.
So then we're back at school, and Patrick has found Joey, and he's informed him that he is now raising his rate to $100 per date. And Joey's like, no. And Patrick's like, do you want to date her sister or not? And Joey's like, fine, here's $100.
Gross. All right, so we are in woodshop again. Cameron is scared. He's rightfully afraid. He's trying to confront Patrick. They like very cautiously approach him to tell him that Joey is just the pawn, that it's actually Cameron who wants to date Bianca. So Patrick needs to actually go out with Kat. Like, he's like, we can't, this isn't about Joey. This is about me. Like, I'm a nice guy. She's a nice girl. I actually want to date her, but you've got to date Kat so that I can date her. It's not that jerk. It's me. So Patrick is like, oh, okay. I guess I'll just try to figure something out. So so Joey's like, listen, we're going to throw a big party, and you're going to go to the party, and Kat's going to go to the party, and you guys are going to get together at the party. Bam. Perfect. Foolproof plan.
Yeah, so Cameron and Michael have got this full-page golden flyer, which they're advertising this huge party, which they just put this other guy, they're not really friends with him, they call him Bogey. They put his address on there, and Cameron's like, are you sure that's okay? And Michael's like, he will be stoked. He's never had this many people at his house. Like, he will be fine with it. And so they just start throwing flyers down staircases and handing them out to everybody.
All right. Who has seen Ghostbusters? Me. There's this scene in Ghostbusters where the elevator is broken, but they have to go to the roof of this building in New York, and they're just walking up like 24 floors of stairs, and they show it at one point from like below, and it's just like never ending staircase. That's what this scene really spoke to. It was really good. Mm-hmm. Really cute scene.
So they've handed all of these out. And then we find Joey and Bianca in the hallway, and he's holding up 2 headshots, and one of them has like a dark gray background, and one of them has a light gray background, and he's like, which one do you think looks better? And she's like, well, in this one you look more whatever. And he's like, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I was going for. Thank you. And then he's like, I'll see you at the party, right? And she's like, yeah, okay.
Joey, man. So it's like after school, and you guys know that really cool giant statue in Seattle that's like under a bridge. It's like the troll under the bridge. It's a very famous, very cool statue. Bianca and Cameron are there, and they're hanging out, and they're plotting how to get Kat to go to the party. So they're like, I don't know, it's going to be really hard. Like, she hates going to parties. She hates everything. Let's go sneak into her room and go through her stuff and try to figure out how to get her to go to the party. It's not the best plan, but that's what they're going to go
That's
with.
what they do. So next thing we see, they're just like standing in Kat's room and they're just going through her stuff, basically. Cameron's got like a notebook out. He's writing down the CDs she likes. They're just looking around. And then he's like, well, can I see your room? And she's like, no, a girl's room is very personal. And then it's just a wide shot of them standing in Kat's room again.
It's really good. All right. So then all of a sudden we're in Port Angeles. I think that's as far as I could tell. We're at a bar. It's a motorcycle bar. There's like 100 motorcycles outside of this bar. and there's music in the bar. And for some reason, we're at a bar, even though we're high school students, even though this is a high school movie. So I definitely was looking for Bella and Jessica the whole time we were watching it because they're in Port Angeles at a motorcycle bar. Because Patrick is 25 years old, he is at the bar and he's smoking and he's playing pool or whatever. And they go in and they find him and they are like, you gotta stop smoking. It's disgusting. And they make sure that he is still on to date Kat. And he is. So they tell him all about all the things that she likes, like the bands and all the stuff that they found out in her room. And they're like, all right. And so then she's going to be at this one specific like club that I guess teenagers can go to. She's going to be at the Bronze tomorrow night watching this band play. This is her favorite band. She loves everything about this band. They're like a cool, hip, feminist girl rock band, and it's awesome. So they're like, you go there tomorrow night and meet her there and make her like you.
And then we have like camera magic where it's like swoopy, swoopy. And then suddenly it's the next night at the new club.
It is cool too, because it's like a cool transition from like this bar this night to like this cool club the next night.
Yes. And Kat is there. She's dancing. She's singing. She's doing her thing. Patrick comes in and he watches and he's like smiling because it looks like she's having a good time. And he goes over to the bar and he orders a drink. And Kat is like, tells her friend, I need water. And so she conveniently also comes to the bar and asks for waters for her and her friend. And then she sees him sitting there and he's like, and she's like, if you're going to ask me out again, can we just get it over with so I can go back to my friend? And he's like, ha ha ha. And she's like, oh, also, where's your like cloud of smoke that's always following you? And he's like, oh, I quit smoking. And she's like, what? Okay. And he's also like, can you be quiet? I'm trying to listen to this song. I really like it. And she's like, you know this band? And he's like, do you not know this band? She's very surprised, very pleased with his knowledge of her favorite band and his lack of smoking.
Do you think that he likes her yet?
I think this is where he's suddenly like, oh,
yeah,
I could hang out with her. Because, you know, everyone's just not being mean to her all the time. She's finally just doing something she likes.
Yeah.
And then he compliments her. He's like, also, you're really sexy. And he says it really loud right as the music drops. So you just hear the word sexy really loud. And
that's
everyone's like
my favorite part of the movie. I love that so much. I love that he is so open about how he feels about her. Like, he never hides it at all. Like, he's like, you're totally sexy and hot. It got me. Maybe that's why I like this movie so much. I like a man who's just like, I'm into you. I don't know.
But then he asks her to the party, and she doesn't say no.
Nope. She just walks away, right? Cute. Good. So we are at the house. Dad is like sitting at his chair reading his newspaper, being very daddish. The news is on in the background, whatever. Bianca and Chastity are like sneaking out. They're wearing very cute outfits and they're obviously sneaking out. And Dad is like with his newspaper, where are you going? And they're like, we just, and Dad's like, nope, you're not going anywhere. And Kat comes in and tells Dad that they're definitely going to the orgy that Dad thinks that they're going to. Because Dad is like, are you going to an orgy? And then Kat's like, yep, they're definitely going to the orgy. Kat has to go with in order to keep them virginal, I guess. So also Dad makes there's this really great part where Dad's like, come here, wear the belly. And I'm like, what? A pregnant belly? Yes, here is where Dad's an OB. And he has a pregnant belly that he makes the girls wear whenever they're going to go anywhere so that they know what it's like if they ever get close to a boy. So she wears this pregnant belly for a few minutes. It's really funny.
In front of her friends.
Yeah, everybody, they're all just sitting there and she's wearing the pregnant belly. So then they go because Kat agrees to go. And they I wrote here that Patrick shows up. Oh, he shows up at her house? I'm confused. Hold on a sec. I can't remember what happened.
I don't think so.
Well, anyway, so Kat decides to go to the party, and so Bianca gets to go to the party.
Yes, and then we see
I love this so
Michael
much.
and Cameron are also getting ready for the party, and they're standing in front of a mirror, and they both have like button-up collared shirts, and Michael's like putting on a tie, and Cameron's like, no, I don't think the tie. And Michael's like, the last time I went to a party was like a Chuck E. Cheese in 7th grade. I don't know how to do this. Their hair's all slicked back. They're like just very nervous.
Oh, they're cute.
Obviously very excited.
I love it so much. So then here's where we're at. What's his name? Bogey.
Mhm.
We're at Bogey's house, and Bogey has a few friends over, and they're very
They're having like Dungeons and Dragons
they're serious.
fancy night.
Here's the thing: we see this house, and it is like the house is a castle. This is like millions of dollars of a house here, and he's in there with his friends, and they're all wearing like sweater vests and like pleated slacks. They have a little box of cigars that they're gonna smoke while they play their role-playing game. I don't know, it's very cute, but we see the house from the outside, and every teenager from the school is walking down the courtyard of grass of this house with kegs, with barrels of beer toward the house, and then like the doorbell rings, and then everybody just starts coming in. And so it's really kind of nice because Bogey is actually really happy about this. He's not mad about it. He doesn't freak out. He's just like, everybody's at my house. And literally everybody is at his house. Nothing about this like ends up being a bad thing for him. So I don't mind that they crashed his Friday night and had a big party at his house. So everything's kind of crazy at the party. Everybody's drinking, everybody's partying, and there's like some girl who wants to make out with everybody. She wants to make out with Joey, but Joey like pushes her on this other. Is it Joey that she wants to make out with?
It's Patrick.
Oh, it's Patrick.
Patrick and Kat have like met up, and he's like, let's go upstairs or whatever.
Kat's there and she hates it. She's like, I hate this. And he's like, let's just go. Like, let's get out of here. And then this girl tries to make out with him, and he's like, no. And he like positions her towards this other guy, and then she starts making out with this other guy. All this stuff is happening. Joey is disgusting. He's really gross. A fight happens. A window gets broken. Something about Bianca. I don't know. Joey has taken Bianca. I don't know. Kat tries to stop her. Oh yeah, that's what happened. So Joey is like, hey Bianca, do you want to go hang out? And Kat is like immediately like, no, you cannot, nope, you can't. You can't go hang out with him. And Bianca's like, no, what are you doing? I don't care. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And then Patrick is like, let's just go somewhere else. Joey, in the meantime, is all over Bianca. She's getting super bored because all he can do is talk about his modeling career. He's like practicing poses, and he's up on a table, and she's just like drinking and like so bored. So she kind of takes off, and Joey keeps modeling around the house, and she goes and she sees Cameron, and she kind of looks at him, and she has like this moment where you're like, oh, she realizes right now that Cameron's actually the guy. He's very cute. He's really sad that she's hanging out with Joey. And so he kind of just like walks past her, and she's like, wait a minute. He's probably the guy I should be with. So we go back to Kat, and she's very inebriated. She has had way too much to drink. And Patrick is like, let me take your drink. And she's like, no. And she runs into this other room. And it's my second favorite part of the movie, where she jumps up on top of the table and starts doing like the hottest, cutest dance ever. Like my husband fell in love with Julia Stiles at this moment when we were in, it's probably why he wanted me to watch the movie, really, so he could watch that scene again of her dancing on the table. I don't mind. It's fine. It's really cute. At one point she just gets like way too like dizzy or whatever, and she falls down, and
she stands up and she hits her head on the chandelier.
Oh yeah. Because she'd been like dancing, and so she's like, bam, and hits her head really hard, and then she like almost passes out. And Patrick catches her, and he's like, oh my gosh, you're like gonna get a concussion. And she's like, no, put me down. I need to like go lay down. And he's like, if you lay down, you fall asleep and then you'll never wake up because you have a concussion. And Cameron comes down and he's like, listen, Patrick, it's off. All Bianca wants is Joey. She's into Joey. And Pat is like, listen, buddy. Well, he like kind of sets Kat down.
He puts her down for a moment so he can give a pep talk.
He goes to have like a conversation with Cameron. He's like, listen, Cameron, you're awesome. You don't need to settle. You got to just go out there and do what you know you do because you're awesome and you can get this girl. And Cameron's just like, okay, well, maybe. And then he looks over and Kat's just like falling over. Anyway, I love Patrick.
Yeah.
He's really great.
So he's finally gotten Kat outside and he's now in like babysit mode and don't let her fall asleep mode. So he's trying to get her like farther away from the house and he finds a swing set. And so he just sets her down on the swing set, which I don't know why. I mean, it's cute looking, but like not the best place for a drunk girl.
Yeah. Concussion wasted anyone should not be sitting on a literal swing.
Yeah.
Terrible idea.
But he sits down next to her and she tells him that she really hates Joey. And she kind of passes out for a second and he's like, Kat. And then she opens her eyes and she looks up at him and she's like, your eyes have some green in them. Oh. And then she pukes all over his shoes.
That's how you know it's the beginning of a beautiful relationship. Were you done?
Hmm?
We cut back to the party and Joey is still trying to get Bianca and Chastity to like pay attention to him. He's like, why don't you guys come with me? And Bianca's like, I gotta be home in like 20 minutes. And Chastity's like, I don't have to be home until 2. She's a really bad friend, everybody. So she goes with Joey. And Bianca is, of course, just like, this is the worst night of my life. Like, the boy I wanted to be with is now with my best friend. I don't know what to do. I have to go home. I don't know where Kat is. And then Cameron walks by and she's like, hey, can I have a ride home? That's like the last that I wrote of that.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So then we're in the car and Patrick is driving Kat home and and Kat's like, she's listening to the radio and she turns up the song and she's like, you know what? I really want to start a band, but my dad wouldn't like it. And he's like, well, why do you care what your dad would think? And she's like, I don't know. Everyone thinks I'm scary. And also, I'm nothing like my sister, but my dad doesn't like that. He really wants me to be more like Bianca. And so they get to the house and he pulls over and they're talking for a little bit more. And then she leans over to give him a kiss, but he pulls away and he's like, maybe we shouldn't do this right now. Because obviously she's still very drunk. But she gets very offended at this, very mad. And she just gets out of the car, slams the door and walks inside.
Yeah, she just feels so burned. So then we see Cameron and Bianca drive up to the house and it's kind of awkward, but then he's like super awesome. He totally confronts her about lying about wanting to go sailing with him because they had this like conversation before and she's like, oh, I'd love to go sailing with you. And he's like, you don't have to lie to me. Like, it's fine. I know you don't like me, like whatever. And then she's like, you know what? You're right. And he just loses his mind. He like just starts going to town on her about how good he's been to her. He always stands up for her. Like everything's true. He's like, they said you were one of the mean girls, but I like stood up for you and I've been there for you and I've done everything right. But all you care about is like this awful guy and I'm the one you should be caring about, blah, 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 blah. And then she just like leans over and gives him this great, big, beautiful kiss and then just gets out of the car. And then he's like, yes, I did it. It's really cute.
We're back in English class. And the teacher has given everyone an assignment to write their own version of Shakespeare's sonnet number 141. And Kat raises her hand and she's like, do you want this in iambic pentameter? And he's like, oh, here we go. What do you have to say about this? She who hates all things. And she's like, I was just asking a question. I think it's a good assignment. And he's like, oh, do you? Do you think it's a good assignment? And she's like, yeah, I'm really excited to do it. And he's like, get out of here.
It's
Literally,
it's so annoying.
She's like just asking for clarification and he kicks her out of class.
He is so awful to her. She's so cool. She's like smart and she obviously gets good grades and she's going to Sarah Lawrence and she's doing everything right and he's so bad to her. All right. So anyway, we are in the hallway. We are at the locker. Cameron and Bianca do a very intense eye lock. It's very sweet and very cute. And then Michael comes up and he goes up to what's her name? The girl.
Mandela.
So Mandela, she's Bianca's friend, and she's
Kat's friend.
Or she's Kat's friend. Mm-hmm. She's very cute though. She's like, she's very different from Kat, but I think she's actually just like Kat. But she's very, very cute. And Michael goes up to her and he's like, you like Shakespeare? And she's like, I love Shakespeare. And so he like starts quoting Shakespeare and he makes a proposition. And that's all I wrote. He makes a proposition. I don't even know what. Hold on. Oh yeah. He's like, I have a proposition for you. So that's all he says.
Mm-hmm. Oh, me.
Sorry. That was so like.
I forgot to pay attention. Okay. So we're on the field again. And Michael is telling Patrick that Kat hates him with the fire of 1,000 suns because Patrick's been like, something happened. I don't know. So Michael went to figure out exactly how Kat is feeling about him, which is not good at this moment. And so they're like, maybe let's give her a day to cool off. And they look at her and she's like kicking people and shoving people out of the way. And they're like, maybe we'll give her 2 days to cool off.
All right. So then we see, and it's probably like the next day, or maybe it's later that day, but Kat and Mandela are kind of like downtown and they're walking around and they're talking about how dumb men are and how stupid the dance is. And then we cat back to after school and there's an archery practice now also happening on the field along with everything else that's going on. A bunch of people are like, they've got their bows and arrows and they're all standing in the line and they're doing target practice. And Joey comes up behind Bianca and he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, I'm trying to pay attention. And he's like, pay attention to me. And she like turns and lets go of her arrow and shoots the gym teacher in the butt. These are the weird things that happen in this movie. People are trying to like tend to the teacher. They're just having their conversation. Joey's like, I'm going to take you to prom. And she's like, I cannot go to prom unless Kat goes to prom. She's mad at Joey. He's still trying really hard to get with her, but she's not as into it as she was before.
Mm-hmm. And then we see a moment of Joey and Patrick in the hall, and Joey comes up and hands Patrick a big wad of cash and then walks away. But this time, Patrick just kind of stands there and has this look upon his face of being like, I don't think I like what I'm doing anymore.
Yeah. Okay. So we are back at the guitar store. There's a Moody song playing and Kat is there and she goes up to this beautiful white guitar and she picks it up and she sits down and she starts playing it. And Patrick is also there because now he is full on stalking her. And he's kind of like back. He like almost goes up to approach her and then he decides not to. So she's like playing. And then we cut over and we're at the bookstore and she's wandering through those stacks and he's also at the bookstore like stalking her, going through the stacks also. And then they get to the end of the same stack and he goes, have you seen a copy of The Feminine Mystique? And she's like, oh, what are you doing? And then they have this really great argument that just kind of like, she's like, I am not going to what is the word I'm thinking of? She's like, I'm not going to like. I can't think of what I'm trying to think of. I should have written down what they actually said in their argument. But basically, she's like, I'm not going to like change who I am to be with a guy, and you obviously don't like me, blah 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 blah. And he was like, you don't, I totally like you, like whatever, what are you even talking about? And then she's got a copy of The Feminine Mystique in her hand. It's really funny. She just like slams it at him and then leaves the bookstore. It's really good. It's like a cathartic argument. Big fan.
Okay, so we're in the cafeteria, and it's Cameron and Patrick talking, and that he's like, Kat's still really mad. And you can tell that he's filled in Cameron on what happened. And Cameron's like, well, obviously she's really embarrassed because you rejected her. So now you need to do something that is equally embarrassing too. And so Patrick's like, kind of like nodding, okay. And then we see him go up to this other kid at the school and just like hand him some money. And then we get a good shot of him like grabbing a microphone and adjusting things on a mixer. And
the amount of money being passed around at this high school is so ridiculous.
Yeah. And then we see him, it's Kat's at soccer practice. We hear music come over the loudspeakers that cover the entire high school grounds, and he starts serenading her on the bleachers with a song and a dance, and he's prancing around the bleachers, and she just looks up at him, stunned at what he's doing. He's singing beautifully, but eventually the like campus security come, and there's two of them like chasing after him as he is still singing until they finally tackle him.
It's such a great iconic scene from this movie. I really, really adore it. He has like, obviously he has got the whole marching band in on it. Yes. Because then he sings like the beginning of the song, and they all kind of like stop and look at him, and then the band like gets into formation and starts playing for him. He's like basically doing a dance while he's running away from the security guards. She is into it. She just gets this like smile on her face, like, oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. He does like me. He does like me. It works. It works perfectly. These guys are so funny. Dude, Shakespeare, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Okay, so we are at detention later. Oh, because he's been put into detention.
Yes.
They brought him straight.
Sing.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because it's like, what exactly did he do that had the two security guards chasing after him and then to get landed in detention? Was it the fact that he broke into the sound booth and was like illegally using a microphone? Is that what it was?
He took school property out of the school.
The only people who can use the microphone are the game announcer or the tech crew. And if you're not singing the national anthem, you put that down.
They got real offended by that.
I don't know. But anyway, so we are in detention, and the detention teacher is terrible, and he is being so mean to this kid. He's like right in this kid's face, and he's like, what have you got in your pocket? The kid's like, nothing. And he's like, how come your eyes are so bloodshot? And the kid's like, what are you talking about? And he's like, how come you look so tired? And then the kid's like, I don't know what you mean. And he's like, give me the weed. And so the kid like pulls a bag of weed out of his pocket and hands it to the teacher. And the teacher grabs it and puts it in his pocket. And then he walks up to this other kid who's got a bag of Cheetos on his table. And he grabs the Cheetos and he goes, these two. Which, I mean, I'm not going to blame this teacher. His job is hard. His job is difficult. He's put in an impossible situation. Mm-hmm. Anyway, so Kat comes in and she's like, hey, very important things to talk to you about. And the teacher's like, what are you doing in here and what are you talking about? And she's like, do you remember when you were teaching us about the art of distraction? Blah, 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 blah. And she's like talking right in his face. And it is very confusing. And the teacher is very confused. And she looks over at Patrick and he's looking at her and he's like, what are you doing? And she goes, the window. She like points at the window that's open. And he's like, what? And so she keeps like distracting the teacher about some lesson, blah, blah, blah. And he's like,
well, because he's a soccer coach. And she's like, I know how we can beat so-and-so in the next game.
And so Patrick finally gets the clue and he gets up, and the whole time she's like, you taught us about deflecting and taking attention so that the da-da-da-da-da, blah, 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 blah. And the whole time Patrick's like trying to sneak out to get to the window to get out of detention. And Kat does the dumbest thing I can imagine doing. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong.
It's so dumb. I hate everything about it. It is like, it's one of those things where I'm like, should I be like, she's using her resources and being smart, or is she just being dumb to get the boy out of detention? I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Please, dear listener, let me know what you think. But she, in her like final attempt to like really take the attention off of Patrick and onto herself so that Patrick can escape, she flashes her soccer coach.
And the whole class.
Yeah, just like lifts her entire shirt up above her boobs and just stands there for like a full 15 or 20 seconds while Patrick is like getting out of the classroom, and then she just puts her shirt down, and I'm done with this movie. The end.
But the paddle boats.
Oh, okay. Okay, fine.
These guys have ditched detention and gone and rented a paddle boat.
It's very romantic.
And paddle boats, just like go-karts, are something you can't do without just smiling and laughing the whole time. And so they are having a blast.
It's true. It is a funny date activity.
Mm-hmm. So he thanks her for helping him get out of detention. And he's like, why do you act the way that you do around other people? Because obviously they've had now multiple like one-on-one interactions in which she talks to him and whatever and is fine. But then he sees how she is around other people. And she tells him that she doesn't want to ever live up to someone else's expectations of her. She just wants to do things because she wants to do them. And he's like, oh, okay, if you set everyone else up for disappointment, then they can never be disappointed by you. And she's like, yeah, kind of, I guess. And he's like, well, that didn't work on me. I've never been disappointed by you.
Oh, they're so cute.
And they keep paddle boating.
Yeah, so then they see off the shore this really fun looking, like incredibly fun looking activity. It's like, I first thought it was paintballing, but no, it's paint ballooning. So you get all dressed up in a whole white outfit, just kind of the same as you do if you're going to go like paintballing and you want to get the paint all over your outfit. But instead of guns and balls, it's like water balloons full of paint. I want to do this game. It looks so fun. You just chase each other around and throw balls of paint at each other. Anyway, so they're having so much fun. They're chasing each other. They're getting paint all over each other. They're smashing paint on each other's heads. And then there's a pile of hay and she falls in it. And then it's a roll in the hay moment. And they get their first kiss, and it's very sweet and very romantic, and I am back in. I'll watch the rest of the movie.
All right.
Okay.
So they're at Kat's house, and they have no paint anywhere but in their hair now.
I think those white coveralls really...
They did the trick.
I thought they took a shower.
Yeah, their faces are clean, but their hair is still painty. And they sit down on the porch, and she asks him to tell her something true. And he's like, I hate peas. And she's like, that's not what I meant. Tell me something that no one else knows. And he tells her, well, you're sweet. And it's very cute. And then he's like, will you go with me to prom? All he ever does is ask her out on another date. Yeah. Initially for money, now because he just wants to spend time with her. And she's like, no, prom is stupid. I don't want to go to prom. And he's like, well, no one would expect you to do it. And she's like, well, why are you trying to get me to go to prom so much? What's in it for you? And he's like, you need therapy. And she's like, shut up. Why do you want me to go to prom so bad? And he's like, I just want the pleasure of your company. But then he pulls out a cigarette. And the reason that the boys had told him to stop smoking is because that's something that she doesn't like. And so she takes this as like well, he doesn't care about me anymore. And he was just lying to me that he stopped smoking.
Yeah.
So she just gets up and she goes inside.
It's an interesting scene because honestly, this is where I first was like, oh yeah, we don't know anything about him. Like, we don't know his past. We don't know why he's like this troubled teen. We don't know where he's from. And she's trying to learn about him, and he just deflects. He turns it around into, let me learn more about you. And we never actually do learn anything about him through the whole movie. we don't know why he's like a smoker and kind of older and so, like scary and stuff. And I wish we did, because he's a compelling character. Anyway, so we are at the library, and Bianca and Cam are practicing their French. They're having a tutoring center. And she starts talking to him in French, and it's stuff that he doesn't know. So he's like, wait a minute, hold on, I don't know what you're saying. And he's like flipping through the book, and he's trying to find what she's saying, but she's going really fast. So obviously she's very good at French. And she's saying to him, why haven't you asked me out yet? But she's saying it in French. And then she just gets up and leaves. And she's just like really mad, and she has left him in the dark about this French that she's been speaking.
Yes. And then we get a little scene where Mandela is going to her locker, and she opens it up.
Oh, I love this so much.
And inside is like 16th century Renaissance dress.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Long, it's red, it has like the twisty rope waist tie, and on it is a piece of paper that Michael has written. He printed out like on parchment paper in like the old timey script, like basically asking her to go to prom with him.
He signed it William Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I love it so much. She is completely taken
she is very into this.
Into it. So then we're back at home, and this is so cute. Dad is on the back deck, and he is very sincerely trying to work out. He's trying to do crunches with the ab roller. He is trying to do some like resistance band work. He Bianca comes out onto the deck, and he accidentally like flips his resistance band to the neighbor's house. It's very sweet. So he gets on his bicycle. He gets on his like stationary bike, and he starts biking. And she's like, all right, Dad, I want to go to the prom. And he's like, you cannot go to the prom unless Kat goes, but Kat can't go. And this is where we do learn once and for all that he works as an obstetrician, because he's like, I am up to my elbows every day in placenta, which I really loved that line. So he's helping people give birth every day, but he has seen too many teen pregnancies, and he just that's really all he wants, is not to have to deliver his own grandchild while his daughters are still teenagers. That's why he's so strict, is that he sees a lot of teen pregnancies, and he sees how hard it is for these young moms to take care of their babies. So he's like, nope, you can't go. Still can't go. And then at the very end of the scene, the resistance band comes flying back. His neighbor is like, here you go. And he's like, thanks.
Yeah.
It's really cute.
So Bianca is in her room pouting about not being able to go to prom, and Kat comes in, and she's like, I really am sorry that you don't get to do these things because I don't want to do them. And she starts to tell her about what happened to her and why she acts the way that she does. And she was like, did you know that I used to go out with Joey? And Bianca's like, Joey? You hate Joey. And Kat's like, well, yeah, now I hate Joey. But in the 9th grade, right after Mom left, we were dating, but we broke up. And Bianca's like, well, why did you break up? And Kat's like, well, because we did something. And Bianca's like, oh, you okay.
She's like, you did it?
And Kat,
I didn't even know about this.
Yeah. And Kat's like, well, it was just the one time. And after it happened, I told Joey that I didn't want to do it again, and he broke up with me for it. And the only reason that I did it is because everyone else was, but I realized afterwards that I wasn't ready. And so then Bianca's like, how come I never heard about this? And Kat's like, well, I told Joey if he told anyone, I would tell everyone that he has a small penis. And then Kat goes on to be like, not every new experience that you think is exciting ends up being the way that you think it will. But Bianca's like, well, I wouldn't be stupid enough to make the same mistakes that you did. And Kat's like, I was just trying to protect you. But Bianca's like, I don't need protecting. And so she gets up and walks out.
Yeah, I mean, it's I would be mad too if I was Bianca, because it's like, I'm not going to make the same mistakes that you made, but it's like, as the big sister, it's like, I have to protect you and make sure you're not going to do this dumb thing that I did, which I don't think Bianca would have, because she already was done with Joey. But who knows? Who knows? Who even knows? So then we are in Kat's room, and she's in bed, and she's sad, and there's some sad music. And then she stands up and she looks out the window, and she looks down, and in the front yard on a tire swing, Bianca is in the tire swing, and she's like swinging back and forth. And it's kind of like a really sweet moment because Bianca looks very young and sweet in this moment. She's wearing like a long dress, and she just looks, you can tell that it's like she's the little sister and Kat's the big sister. And Kat in this moment kind of like makes a decision to like, I'm going to do the thing for my baby sister. It's really sweet.
Yes, so we have now made it to prom night. And we see the prom. It's in this huge room. There's a live band playing. And we see Kat walk up, and she's wearing this like dark blue, florally, slightly printed like slip dress.
Oh, wait, hold on. I did not tell the next scene because I put a... Anyway, I thought it was after. So then it's later that night, and Dad is downstairs, and he's watching an infomercial about this like spray that you can spray on your hair that makes it look so you're not bald anymore. I've actually seen people have this on their head, and it does not look like you have hair. It just looks like you put like clumps of like fibrous material all over your head. It's really gross. But he's like the commercial head that's getting sprayed on. They pan out and they show his head, and it looks exactly like the same head. And he's like, huh. And then we see a Kat, and she's walking down the stairs, and she is wearing the prettiest like dress. It's like this long blue like slip dress, and she's got like a little shawl. And then she like goes, bye Dad, I'm going to the prom. And then she says that, right?
Well,
or maybe she just walks out.
She just like walks past.
She just like walks past.
Sees her leave.
Yeah. Okay, and so then Bianca comes down, and she's got the best dress I've ever seen on, you guys. It's the most 1999 dress. It's this huge, great big, like, it's a skirt and a shirt, but the skirt is just tulle. It's just tulle from the waist to the floor. Layers and layers of pink tulle with a satin ribbon waist, and then like a satiny hot like crop top with long... Oh, I love it. I love it so much. So she comes down, and Cameron is there to pick her up, and he's looking super cute. And Dad is like, no, what are you doing? And she's like, well, whatever. No, Kat is going, so I get to go. And Dad's like, well, I guess. And then...
and now it's me.
Okay.
So we see Kat. She shows up at the prom. It's this huge ballroom. They've got a live band. And she finds Patrick, who's wearing a tux. And she says she's sorry. She says, I'm really sorry that I questioned your motives. And he's like, well, I forgive you. It's okay. And they head inside the prom. Meanwhile,
Joey shows up at the house to pick up Bianca. And he looks ridiculous. And Dad just like literally opens the door, takes one look at Joey, and then just slams the door on his face.
It's a very Tyler and Charlie Swan
Yes, moment. It feels so good though. I felt bad for Tyler. I did not feel bad for Joey.
Yeah. So then at the prom, everybody's on the dance floor, and Mandela comes over, and she's wearing her dress. And she goes over to Kat and Pat, and she's like, have you guys seen William? And they're like, what are you talking about? But then she looks up at the stage, and Michael is standing like right next to the singer on the stage, and they lock eyes, and he's wearing like a tunic.
Oh, he's so cute. He has like a ruffle collar.
Yeah, and he comes down, and those two start to dance. It's very sweet.
You know they go to theater school together the next year.
Mm-hmm. And then the song finishes, and a new one starts to play. And it is a new band, and Patrick has arranged it so that one of Kat's favorite local bands is there playing at the prom, and the singer of the band like comes down onto the dance floor up to them, and she is very excited, and they kiss, and then prom stuff happens.
Yep, it's very promy. And then we are in the bathroom, and Bianca's in there, and she's kind of like looking at how cute she looks, and then Chastity shows up. And Chastity's like, you didn't think you were the only sophomore who got asked to the prom, did you? But the truth is, so Joey showed up at her house and was like, I'm here to take you to the prom. Okay, so she's like, yeah, Joey came and picked me up. And honestly, I mean, the only reason he wanted to go with you or even date you at all is so that he could have sex with you. And because he had a bet with his friends that he could get with you. So yeah, that was pretty awful.
Yeah. And so back on the dance floor, Pat and Kat are still dancing, and Pat is telling Kat that all of the rumors that everyone has heard about him aren't actually true. He wasn't in a porno. He didn't go and like kill this person. None of that happened. What happened really was that his grandpa was getting sick, and so he spent most of the past year with his grandpa watching Wheel of Fortune. So while they're there dancing, Joey comes over to Patrick and he asks why Bianca is at the dance with Cameron and not with him. And Kat overhears him say, I didn't pay you to take out Kat so some little punk could snake me with Bianca. So Kat leaves and Patrick goes to go after her, but Michael happened to see this all go down. So he goes over and he tells Cameron, who then comes over to Joey.
This is so dramatic.
Yeah, Joe and Cameron's like, listen, it's not that serious. We all need to get over this. Like everything has resolved. I'm with the girl now, so we can stop this. Joey punches Cameron. So then Bianca comes over and she punches Joey 3 times in the face.
Well, what did she say?
She goes, this one's for me, this one's for Kat in 4th grade or whatever, and this one's for Cameron. This one's for making my date bleed. And he's like, I have a nose shoot tomorrow.
Yes.
But then Bianca goes and helps Cameron up because he fell down when he got punched. And they kiss, and Joey's just laying on the floor, like holding his face.
It's really satisfying. So we are outside and Kat has just like been like completely mortified because it did come out that he was paid to go out with her. And she confronts him. She's like, you took the money. You took money to go out with me. And he's like, I didn't care about the money. All I cared about was you. And it does not go well. It's a bad look. And so she just looks at him and goes, you are so not what I thought what you were. And then leaves. Not good. Not good.
Yep. So then it's like the next day or so, and Kat is at her house. She's sitting on the porch and she's just drawing. And Bianca comes up to her and she's like, do you want to go sailing with me and Cameron? And Kat's like, no, I don't want to. And she's like, well, thanks for going to the prom anyway. It meant a lot to me. And then Cameron comes over. So those two leave. And then their dad comes out and he's sitting there and he's like, well, how did the dance go? And she's like, oh, it went good. Bianca punched this kid. And she's like, are you going to ground her again? And he's like, no, I'm proud of her. And then they sit down and he tells her about how he feels like he can't be a dad to Kat the way he can be with Bianca, because Bianca still lets him in and still lets him do all of the dad things, but Kat has just pushed him away. And that's why he is holding on so tight to her, because he knows that this relationship is about to end. And then he tells her that he hopes that she still wants to go to this college because he's already sent them a check. And then they have this hug. It's this very sweet moment.
Really sweet. I'm very touched right now. All right, so we are back where we began. We are at school in English class. We get a good shot on Joey, and he is totally broken-nosed. He's got like a plaster on his nose, and he's got black eyes. It's very satisfying. And it is the day when they are supposed to read their sonnets that they have written. And Kat is like, me, I'll go first. And the teacher's like, anyway, she gets up, she stands up, and she starts to read her sonnet. And I would like to read it to you guys. And I want, just for a sec, let's think back to this whole premise that Kat's a writer. I beg to differ, but whatever, it's fine. It's really cute. It's fine, and I have my own personal feelings about it because I just think it's a terrible poem. and it's not in iambic pentameter, and it's not any of the things that it should be, but it's really, really sweet, and she sobs all the way through it. So I will read it to you. It's really, really sweet. And she's reading it straight at Patrick. She goes, I hate the way you talk to me and the way you cut your hair. I hate the way you drive my car. I hate it when you stare. I hate your big, dumb combat boots and the way you read my mind. I hate you so much it makes me sick. It even makes me rhyme. I hate the way you're always right. I hate it. Oh no, I'm going to cry. I hate it when you lie. I hate it when you make me laugh. Even worse, when you make me cry. I hate it when you're not around and the fact that you didn't call. But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close, not even a little bit, not even at all. And she is, by this time, she's just completely lost all composure. She is sobbing. This is the first time that Kat has let herself be vulnerable. Like ever. Like, I doubt that she was ever vulnerable before her mom left. And then her mom leaving just shut down everything. And then what happened with Joey was like the last straw of like, I can no longer ever let anybody see who I really am inside. And now Patrick has broken it open, and she loves him and he loves her, and they have like been able to break through this like rough, tough exterior of the shrew. And he's gotten it, and everybody, we look at Patrick and he has a cry face, and he's like, oh my gosh, what just happened? And the class is like completely silent, and she just leaves the class. It's really sweet.
Yeah. So then we go to the parking lot. It's the end of the day, and everybody's walking to their cars. Kat's walking to hers, and she goes over, and before she even opens the door, she sees the white guitar that she's been going to the guitar store and like pining after and playing, and it's just sitting there in her seat. And Patrick comes over, and she's like, is this for me? And he's like, yeah, I thought you could use it to start your band. And he goes, besides, I had all this extra cash from being paid by this asshole to take out this really awesome girl. And she just kind of like is staring at him, and he goes, but I really screwed it up and I fell for her. And so then they kiss, but she pushes him away, and she goes, you can't just buy me a guitar every time you mess up. And he's like, yeah, you're right. But there's also like microphones and keyboards and whatever. And they kiss again, and she pushes him away, and she's like, and then he kisses her a third time, and they kiss into the credits.
Oh, yay! It's such a good movie. Do you know what so I love the part where they're in the bar and he like screams, you're really sexy, and it's like quiet. I also love the part where she gets up on the table and starts dancing, but I also really love the part where they're on the porch and he's asking her about herself, and he's talking to her, and it's the part where he doesn't quite yet tell her where he's been and what he's all about, but he just is like so tender with her. Like the way he like starts kissing her neck and her face, and he's like, you're so sexy, you're so beautiful. And of course, for me, who I am, I'm like, I love this. Like he really fell in love with her so early on, like way before she could even like begin to comprehend what was happening. He was like full on in love with her. I love it. It's so good.
It's good.
It's such a great movie. Let's see what these guys say, because if they have something smart, I might be able to talk about it. Hi, everybody. Who the heck is here? Okay, let's see. Never underestimate us. Hi, Paula. Perfect shirt for Marin. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Paula watched the show before the movie. Oh, yeah, I do want to talk about how it's a show and how I was thinking about that. Emily's having an introverted panic. She's like, don't touch me. I relate. Nothing wrong with that. You're weird if you deny it. Oh, I wish I knew what she's talking about. I was looking for the Zoom invite this morning and then realized today is Sunday and I missed it. Oh, no. I'm sorry. That's okay. We said everything. Oh, no, sounds like something I would do. My older sister used to do the scrunch hair. I wish I was whelmed. Hi, Sarah. Hey, I'm glad. I'm good. How are you guys? Great. Thank you. Okay. All right. So Emily, when we were looking up information about the movie, we saw that it was a TV show. And I was like, what? I was thinking about that last night. And I was like, this, I was just like cleaning or something, and I was thinking about what a great movie this is, but how there are so many stories going on. There's the story of Michael and Mandela. There's the story of course, Kat and Pat, and then there's Cameron and Bianca, and then there's Joey and his friends, and there's so many different things happening that, like, to put it all in an hour and a half movie about kids in high school was just like, it just scratched the surface for me. And so while I was cleaning, I was like, this would make the best series, because then we could get deep into these different things. We could talk about the dad, we could have the relationship with the mom, we could have like all the stuff between Kat and Bianca that's, I think, is very important and could be very rich, and we could learn more about Patrick and who he is and why he is. I was like, this would make the best television show, and then apparently it was a television show, so now I'm like, I need to watch this series.
Yeah, I didn't register until I clicked on the link and it pulled up the logo for the TV show, and it's like, I know I've seen this around, but I've never watched it. So
I think we should
have to do a pilot.
Yeah.
Watch.
I would love to watch it. And I think that's brilliant. Like, so many movies where I'm like, there should be a TV show of this. And now I'm like, they did make a TV show of this movie. So I'm excited to see that. I would like to hear about anybody else who has seen it. So I haven't said anything smart. I've been napping the whole time. Is it really napping when it's actually night? Or is she napping so she can watch Harry Potter with us? So. I had a long day in the sun and 3 mojitos with my friend. Really refreshed now, though.
3 mojitos.
I know. Loved listening to you guys discuss this amazing movie. Okay. Thanks. It truly is an amazing movie. I loved it. I loved the whole movie. Like, I loved everything about it. Even the problematic parts that were so 1999 were like, ew, gross. But at the same time, I was like, this is just such a great movie. It's a great film.
Yeah. I remember being fine with it before. I like it now. I wouldn't say it's risen to the top of my lists or anything. I didn't like it quite as much as you, I think, but it was good. I liked watching it. I liked talking about it.
Well, it's exactly the kind of movie I like. I love high school shows. That's my favorite genre of all genres. So I loved it. It was great. It was fun. Let us know what you guys think. Be awesome.
Be awesome.
We don't have any cool taglines for this podcast. I don't know what to say.
We don't. And we'll catch you guys next month with a new movie.
All right. Peace.
Bye. I didn't even get a bye from me today. Let's just shove away.
What am I even doing? It's only 1 season, but it's pretty good. I want to watch it.
Napping so I can watch HP. As you should.
All right.
Okay.
Love you guys. We'll see you
in almost an hour.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.
God.